How's it going, YouTube land? During a live stream, I recently got asked a question that kind of threw me for a loop. It asked, we all know about movies that are ruined by their endings, but can you think of any movies that were saved by their endings? Like, the movie just wasn't that good, but the ending made it all worth it. Now, I have to admit, being put on the spot, I couldn't come up with anything. Sure, there are plenty of good movies that are made better by their endings, with the usual suspects have entered pop culture lore if it weren't for its twist. Hell, it gave Kevin Spacey an Oscar and helped cement his, creepy career. What about The Sixth Sense? Don't get me wrong, that's a great movie, but I think a lot of it hinged on the now classic reveal. That might be what elevated it from good movie to great. On the flip side, there's The Others. Now, there's a film that was much more deliberate in its pacing. Some might even say boring. But its ending is technically better than The Sixth Sense. Watch The Sixth Sense again, and not a whole lot changes. Watch The Others again, and the whole movie is different. Character backstories, traits, and motivations are all seen in a new light. The Prestige does this as well. Would that work without its ending? And then there's the average movies, or downright bizarro films that tie up their narratives in a nice box of WTF. Things like Halloween 3, Lord how I love that movie. But if I'm being honest, I don't think it would work as well without its grim, kinda goofy finale. Sure, you can show a grown man screaming into a phone about the impending end of the world, but all we're hearing is this. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! That's just amazing. On a similar note, there's the remake of The Wicker Man, which is legitimately awful. And by that I mean awfully awesome, because if you can get through the meandering surreality of Nicolas Cage stumbling around a boring island and punching a woman in a bear suit, you'll get treated to one of the best batshit endings out there.
Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! My eyes!
Murderous stinging insects in the Pacific Northwest? Finally, a film for 2020 that speaks to the times. If you're seeing a pattern here, it's that horror tends to lend itself to this sort of thing. Maybe it's the lower budgets or the over-reliance on genre tropes, but for whatever reason, it seems like horror movie writers have to think out of the box a little more. Maybe it's because you can only hack so many people to death before it all starts to feel samey. So, a well-executed ending, see what I did there? Never mind, can make a horror film stick out from the crowd. Hell, look at Sleepaway Camp. Now there's a movie where, if you mention it, all people will want to talk about is the ending. That film could have been any other slasher if it weren't for the twist. Or how about the Hitchcock classic Psycho? Once again, a great movie made even better by its ending. And now we've gone full circle. But are there examples outside of the horror genre? Big budget mainstream movies that just weren't doing it for me, but then along came an ending and I was like, wow, you're alright. Well, after scraping the cavernous insides of my empty head, I think I came up with two. Rogue One and Onward. Kind of an odd combination, I know, but both were films that I just wasn't digging, and then something switched during their finales and I couldn't help but warm up to them. And the odd thing is, both of them did it in completely opposite ways. One gave the audience exactly what they wanted, and the other didn't. One ending was tailored for the kid at heart, and the other for a more maturing soul. And if you think it's the PG-13 film that was aimed at the mature crowd, well, you'd probably be wrong. But let's get into it. Now, if you had asked me at the 20-minute mark if I was enjoying Rogue One, I would have said, hell no. The plot kinda jumped around. We seem to have missed some key character development with our main protagonist, whose teen years we completely skipped. Other characters were just weird. The dialogue was kind of stilted. The whole thing just felt strangely unengaging. If you want to know how bad it was, I'll confess something right now. I don't remember any of these characters' names, and I've seen this film more than once. To me, it's just Moody Girl, Moody Girl's boyfriend, the dude who nearly chokes on his own ambitions, the weird-looking villain from Doctor Strange, lies, deceits, and the I am the one with the Force and the Force is one with me guy. And I'm not an idiot. I can tell you who Crix Maydeen is. He's the general from Return of the Jedi who looks like my old chiropractor. But I was more invested in that movie's characters, even the nobodies. And Rogue One isn't the only new Star Wars film with this problem. I couldn't tell you who's who in Solo unless it's Han, Lando, or Chewie. And the less said about Rise of Skywalker, the better. I mean, say what you want about The Force Awakens and Last Jedi, whether you love or hate Rose, Holdo, Crux, Maz, Snoke, Kylo, Rey, Finn, Poe, whoever, you remember their names. Like, who the hell is this? That's Meriadoc Brandybuck, that's who, and he likes pints, in a movie I care about.
This, my friend, is a pint.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I got him confused with the other one. That's Charlie, and he likes, water sports. Point being, I can remember names if I care, but with Rogue One, I just wasn't invested enough on any level. But then something strange happened. The SHIT started getting real. By the time Moody Girl and friends arrived on Scarif, hey look, I remember the name, I started to get more invested as the stakes were raised. Watching them work together, I kinda didn't want them to die. Then, in the middle of all that, we got what is, essentially, the best damn space battle we've had since Revenge of the Sith. And I'm going to go so far as to say the best damn space battle in Star Wars outside of A New Hope or Return of the Jedi. Of course, there's some cheating going on here. We kind of know some of these guys from Episode 4, so we're a little more invested. But hey, if it works, it works. You know what else works? Probably the best resurrection of a long-gone Star Wars character we've ever seen. No. Oh dear God, no! That's the stuff. Okay, so his first scene wasn't that great with its stilted voice acting and cheesy one-liners, but then at the very end, this happens. I can't even describe it. I mean, if you've seen it, you know it. And it went something like this.
Dear God, no!
My eyes!
I mean, look at this. The ceiling! The ceiling! Okay, I'm done. Needless to say, I think we all had the same reaction.
Holy shit!
And I'm not joking, the crowd I saw this with erupted in applause. And these guys were stone cold silent up until this point. Well, except a gasp at creepy CGI Tarkin. So what happened here? How did a whole audience go from snooze fest to applause? One word. Fan service, baby. Okay, I guess that was 2 words. In short, a movie that was kind of all over the place finally gave the audience exactly what they wanted. Laser swords, spaceships, big kabooms, badass villains doing badassery things, and yes,
Hope.
because despite losing our protagonists, we know that their sacrifice will not have been in vain, cause we're only one blonde-haired, blue-eyed, whiny moisture farmer away from blowing the evil space bastard sky high. It's an ending for the kids in us that thought Darth Vader was badass and space battles were cool. And you know what? It kind of worked. I think even people who don't like this movie have to begrudgingly admit it ended on a high note. And I think that those that do like it have to admit the ending kind of makes it. What the lesson is for writers, I'm not sure, cause this film was in all sorts of production hell. There was a happier backup ending, I'm told, reshoots and missing characters, and it's a mess. But ironically, in giving us the darker ending, they also gave us the easier ending. Everything's kind of a wash. The canon is mostly unchanged. We don't need to tell the Rogue Squad stories alongside episodes 4, 5, and 6. We don't need to consider how these events affected our protagonists. They're gone! We got an awesome space battle and Vader scene, and it's up to Luke, Leia, and Han now. In the end, this was a slow burn. A movie that started off like a dud, but ended like a perfectly timed fireworks show. The audience was left riding a high. Contrast this with Onward. Now here's another film that was a slow burn, but it didn't end on a crowd-pleasing high note. No, this movie said, we're not gonna give you the ending you want, we're gonna give you the ending you need. Now, if I'm being honest, it was a long haul getting there. I was trying, but I just was not getting into it. For me, the jokes were tired, the tone was all over the place, the world building was, what world building? I'm still not entirely sure how this universe is supposed to work. There was magic, then tech took over, and I guess magic is still a thing, but not really, and everyone's a mythical creature. Okay. The whole thing just felt like hand-me-down jokes from Bright crossed with disenchantment. Oh, haha, it's funny because the dog's a dragon and she's spraying it with the water because that's what we do with our pets. And oh, look, it's just another day in fantasy suburbia where we resurrect a dad and he's a pair of legs. And oh, the spooky ancient tavern of legend is really just Chuck E. Cheese. Tee ho ho. I don't know, guys. It just wasn't my thing. And if you liked it, that's fine. Everybody's different. This one just ain't my cup of tea. But just like Rogue One, something strange happened. Somewhere in the middle, there was a key scene where Ian and his older brother Barley are riding a giant cheese puff and discuss their lowest moments. Barley reveals that he was never able to emotionally say goodbye to their father because he was too scared. You know, seeing him attached to all the hospital wires and tubes and all that. And for a moment, I got really sucked in. Hell, my own dad confessed that that was his favorite scene in the movie because he had a similar experience as a child. So it's an effective scene. Of course, they're also riding a giant cheese puff when they're bearing their souls, and that's part of the whole tonal problem this film has. But an amazing scene is still an amazing scene, and it only got better. 'Cause in the end, Ian has to make a choice to see their fully resurrected father himself, or give up on his quest so he can let his older brother have the chance. And honestly, I kinda didn't see it coming, because this isn't the ending the audience wants. See, Ian invested all this time to reconnect with his dad. We've been stuck on his journey, so to rob him of that feels kind of rough. But that's the point, because in the end this quest was all a giant MacGuffin. Yes, that thing that sets the plot in motion, but it's not really about that. The movie made it seem like this was about Ian reconnecting with his father, but it was really about the brothers reconnecting with each other, which leads Barley to reconnect with his father instead. And there's no cop-out, no magic loophole where they both get what they want. Ian makes the choice, and that choice has consequences. He has to live with it. And like the ending to Lost in Translation, we're not even sure what's said between Barley and his dad. It's strangely adult, and unlike Rogue One, doesn't give us a crowd-pleasing easy out. Ian doesn't really get his reunion. But like Rogue One, this ending out of left field kind of saves the whole movie. Sure, both these films are messier than an episode of Hoarders, but they both end on a flawless note, just in different ways. And I can't say I saw either of them coming. Rogue One was so low-key, I really didn't think it had the Spaceballs to deliver such a satisfying fangasm. As for Onward, maybe I should have seen it coming, but here's the thing. Most Pixar movies, and their Disney companions, tend to follow a pattern. There's a hero, a journey, life lessons learned, a nice guy that turns out to be the villain gets what they deserve, and oftentimes, no real consequences are generally faced. I saw this in 2 Toy Story movies, Coco, Zootopia, Frozen, Frozen 2. There's a lot. And I'm not complaining. Those are great movies. But, well, it is what it is. So I kinda thought this movie was just gonna follow the same pattern. Fairy tale ending where, even if you make the hard choice, a magic loophole will save you. To hell with the consequences, the kids gotta leave happy. Or as Disney executives would put it,
consequences, schmonsequences, as long as I'm rich.
But writer-director Dan Scanlon didn't do that. And I think that's an important lesson for writers. You might not have the most interesting world or even jokes, because I really don't think Onward does. But if you stick to your guns and think outside of the box a little bit, that can go a long way. Or, you know, in the case of Rogue One, just go back inside the box and put on the best damn show you can. Either way, I left both of these films thinking, wow, that ending really saved the rest of the movie. So what do you think? Do you have any movies that you feel were saved by the ending? Perhaps you agree with my picks. Perhaps you don't. Maybe you like both just fine. Or maybe you hated them. Either way, leave a comment. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. Till next time.